Give me 1 second, everybody. We've got a new experiment we're working on.
Right now, 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 right now. Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We gotta add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been
Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest in everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, I have a very exciting announcement that we'll be getting to here in just a couple of minutes. But first, we have to talk about this major drop that is happening right now on Bitcoin. Bitcoin rallied up to $110,000 over just the last 48 hours. We have recently had a drop back down to local support around 107,500. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what I think about this drop. Is this the end of the rally? Have we double topped? Have we built a head and shoulders pattern on the long-term time frames? Or instead, is Bitcoin about to go through a massive rally? And this is actually a back test of critical support so that we can set ourselves up for the next leg higher. Newsflash, spoiler alert, that's the direction I'm leaning in. I want to hear your opinions on that in the chat, though. Guys, we have a very exciting stream coming today, and I've got a really exciting announcement before we get started, and that is, as of today, we are now streaming on X as well. We are over here on X and we're over here on YouTube. Multi-streaming is now on. We are live, as you can see, right here on X. So as I learned at the conference, it's actually pretty easy to multi-stream on YouTube, X, Rumble, Twitch. So in my rollout of this, we have decided that we're going to start streaming on X as well. I'm working with the Rumble team to potentially start putting content, videos, streams, shorts, etc. up on Rumble as well. So we are going to all the platforms. Crypto Jeb is coming all over the internet for you guys because we've got a lot of content to share with you, and I want to see you guys be able to see that wherever you are. And it seems like it's working really well. Right now, YouTube says we have 116 of you guys in chat, but Streamlabs says there's 225 viewers, so I would assume we have about 100 or so viewers over on X as well. This will be a test stream for us. We're just going to dive right on into it just like we always do, and then after we're done, we'll kind of look back and see how things did. Really excited, so let's get started. Shout out to everybody who's over on X watching the stream for the first time on that platform. Let's start off with a quick overview of Bitcoin. Right now, Bitcoin is trading at $107,000, down 2.5% over the last 24 hours, sitting at $2.125 trillion market capitalization, otherwise known as $2.125 trillion market cap. One of the things I want to point out about this level, because we're going to be talking about the support level that we're at right now quite a bit today. One of the things that you need to understand about this level is that it's something called a mass psychological level of support. Mass psychology is a concept that we discuss in technical analysis that relates to the understanding of how the masses think. You've heard this called different things on different channels, but generally I call it mass psychology. People are looking for certain levels of support and resistance. People are looking at 100,000 saying, that's a big number, I'm going to set my resistance there. I'm going to set my sell order right below that. People are looking at $15,000 in the last bull market saying, that is a really big, even number, so I'm going to place my buy orders there. I'm going to end my short trades there. We saw this with $20,000 as an all-time high, $65,000 as an all-time high. We've seen this happen around $40,000, $50,000, $75,000, $100,000, $110,000, which was a local top that we set over the last little while. And the same thing can happen on market cap figures. It's actually a lot easier to find these levels on market capitalization figures. When you're looking at Bitcoin's market cap, you're going to see all throughout history these numbers come in handy. For example, right here in September of 23, we used $500 billion as support. We also used, in the last corrective movement, $1.5 trillion as support. This is a very relevant piece of information because it helps us to understand where the tops and bottoms of markets are going to be. For example, the last bull market, Bitcoin peaked out at $1.25 trillion market cap, and the total market capitalization peaked out right at $3 trillion. Over the last couple of hours, we've seen Bitcoin drop back down to 2.125, which would be $2 trillion and an eighth, $2.125 trillion. It's a big even. It'd be the big even right above 2.1 trillion. That is not the only level of support that we're looking at, though, because we're also looking at, on the shorter term time frames, Bitcoin backtesting right back down to the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders pattern that we've been tracking over the last several days. As we've discussed, there is a short-term inverse head and shoulders pattern right here, along with a longer-term inverse head and shoulders pattern that we've been discussing on this stream since February. In February, right here, the chart was right there, and I told you guys 4 months ago that we were going to paint a big inverse head and shoulders pattern, and I more or less drew something like this on the chart and said later on this year we will use this inverse head and shoulders pattern to break all the way up to well above $100,000. You can go back. All of you guys who have watched this stream remember me saying that. That was 4 months ago. We're doing that. So we've got two inverse head and shoulders patterns in play right now. One of them on the shorter term time frame is the most critical right now because Bitcoin broke the neckline of the inverse head and shoulders pattern. It hit local resistance up here, roughly at $110,000, another big even. It was one of our high touches that we set back here on the 27th of May, and we've gone through a corrective movement. We were originally in a bull flag right here, which would have been giving us a price target to the upside of roughly $115,000. Bitcoin did not break bullish there, likely because we still have quite a few OG bulls in Bitcoin that have 100, 500, 1,000x their Bitcoin taking profit. You also, in my opinion, although I don't have any evidence for that, so we could be wrong here, but I would expect that the likes of BlackRock, the likes of Fidelity, the likes of you name the company that's involved in the Bitcoin market at this point in time, they have a vested interest in controlling the price of Bitcoin and keeping it suppressed for as long as possible. Now, we talked about yesterday how there are two different ways that you can get Bitcoin and it be a good trade. Number one, you can get it as early as possible. Number two, you can get it as low as possible. I told you we can control when we get the Bitcoin. For the most part, we can say, I'm going to buy today instead of 10 years from now. We can say, I'm going to buy today instead of next week. Now, obviously, you have to have the money to do that, but you can figure out how to get the money. You can sell things around your house. You can pick up a second job. You can drive for Uber and make $2 an hour. Whatever. You can figure out how to buy today. Now, what we can't do is we can't control the price. But if you could control the price, wouldn't you? I mean, let's forget morality for a second because that's what Wall Street does, right? I'm not saying we should, but let's just think like these people that have hundreds of billions of dollars that don't give a crap about the little guy. If you could suppress the price of Bitcoin so you could get a lower entry and then moonshot it because you still have the same ability to move the market, wouldn't you suppress the price? Wouldn't you load up your bags as much as possible at $106,000 before the market shoots to 175? Wouldn't you do that? You're going to generate as much revenue as you possibly can. Again, now you wouldn't do that because you have a moral compass, but let's think like these bankers that don't. Let's think like these big fund managers that don't have a moral compass. What are they going to do? Obviously, they're going to suppress the price because they can control how early they buy, but they can also control the price. So why wouldn't they, from their perspective, I wouldn't do this. You wouldn't do this. But from their perspective, why wouldn't they crash the price so they could load up more? That's what we're seeing right here. I believe that this is two things. Number one, I believe it's actually three things. Number one, I think it's a manipulated event. I think that you're seeing price suppression by the institutions to get as much as they possibly can at 100,000 because they understand $1 million Bitcoin's coming, and 10xing your money when you're putting $10 billion in will generate for you one of the largest unrealized profits in the history of the stock market. Ask Strategy. If Bitcoin hits $119,000 by the end of this quarter, a few weeks from now, Strategy will print the largest profit in the history of the United States stock market, actually in the history of global securities markets. Of course, there's price suppression going on. That's number one. Number two, why are we having this drop? The second reason we're having this drop is because people are quite simply loading up their bags. They are quite simply loading up their bags. And they're quite simply taking things easy. A lot of people bought down here. Like I bought down here. I bought a bunch of Bitcoin down here at $70,000 to $85,000. Ton of Bitcoin. Like a lot of Bitcoin. I'm not a trader, but if I was, of course I'd take profits here. Of course I'd take profits here. And try and buy a little bit lower. Of course you would. I'm not saying you should, but a lot of people would. And that's what's happening. And so these are people taking profits that make money on this trade. That's the entire reason that you consolidate. Guys, I've been watching these charts for 8 years. 8 years next month. Almost 8 years. The reason you consolidate is because of traders that bought here and their buying drove the rally are taking profits. That's why. That's the second reason why you're seeing a dip here. People are still taking profits from the fact that Bitcoin rallied 50%. Some of these people were in 10x trades and held it for weeks. They made 500%. They 5x their money trading Bitcoin. It happened. And so what are they doing? They're taking profits. Duh. So that's the second reason that we're having this movement take place right here. Third reason, we also still have the OG whales that are taking profits. Now, this is a little bit like the second point, except these aren't people that rode this wave. No, these are people that rode this wave. They've held Bitcoin for 10 years, and they say to themselves, Bitcoin's going to go to 100,000. Fred Krueger over on X, it was him or maybe it was someone else, talking about how they're going to, when Bitcoin's at $1, Bitcoin's going to 100,000. There are a select few people in the world that called Bitcoin going to 100K when it was at a couple $1,000s. I was calling for Bitcoin to go to 100K when it was at $5,000. Now, I was broke as a joke, as a bloke on the side of the road back then, so I didn't have $1 million to dump into Bitcoin. But some people had $1 million to dump into Bitcoin at 3,000, and they 33x their money, and they've got millions of dollars. They're taking profits. So there's 3 reasons why Bitcoin's going through a correction right here. None of them are bearish. The first reason is because there is genuine price suppression going on from institutions that know that we're holding a beach ball underwater and it's about to explode, so why not get as much as possible right now? Number 2, you also have people that are taking short-term profits on this short-term long trade. Number 3, you have people that are taking long-term profits. Those 2 things are going to taper off. Eventually, everybody who wants to take profits is going to have taken profits. The institutions are going to have their bags loaded enough that they're willing to take their foot off the brake and allow the market to rally, and the thing's going to freaking explode. Do you really think we're about to go into a bear market right now? With everything going on, with the amount of institutional buying, think about the same institutions that we're saying are manipulating the market. These institutions want to make money. They're fighting tooth and nail for entries at 100,000. Why would they do that, especially when they're the ones driving a lot of the price action? Why would they do that if they believe that a bear market's about to start? It doesn't make a lick of sense. And so what we have the option to do right now, and we're going to talk about the technicals, talk about the price targets, all of that. But I wanted to start with this correction because this is going to freak people out. Chap, we made a lower high. We went to 112 last month. Now we're only going to 110. What gives? Careful. Maintain your conviction. Maintain your conviction. We have 0 evidence that a new major correction is about to start. None. If we start breaking below 100, yeah, there you go. There's your confirmation that we're going to go down to 75 or 80. Sure, if we break below 100, we'll go down to 75 or 80. Open a short trade at 99, whatever. 95, whatever. Something like that. But until that point in time, you need to remember your conviction. That's why I'm making this stream today, is I want you to remember your conviction. So you have a choice. Let's drink some coffee. Who wants official Crypto Jeb merch back, by the way? This cup is several years old. We don't sell merch anymore. I think I might get back into it. It never really made much money, but honestly, I think it'd just be cool. I love the pictures of you guys, sending me pictures of you guys having the Crypto Jeb mug. That was great. By the way, the X streaming seems to be doing well. YouTube is reporting 300 people in chat. Streamlabs is reporting 600 people in chat. So theoretically, we just doubled our viewership with like 10 minutes of multi-streaming. So very excited about that. Welcome everybody who's over on X. Hope you enjoy the stream. Forgive me, I am not in my regular studio. I am sitting at the head of our dinner table. That's right behind me at our dinner table. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Joshua 1:9. Somebody asked what that said. We are in the middle of building our new studio. I anticipate that to be done by the end of next week. Don't want to put any definitive dates on that, but our expectation is for that to be done by the end of next week. Just moved a lot of our equipment into the room. We're about to start renovating the room, so stay tuned. Really excited for that. For now, though, you didn't come for the studio. You have 2 options. Let's get back to it. You have 2 options. Number 1, you can think like the retail. What the retail is thinking right now is Bitcoin just crashed. Not crashed. It dropped 4%, whatever. Time to panic sell. You can think like the retail who are thinking, oh my gosh, we're doing the same thing that we did in 2021. We rallied up to 65, then we rallied up to 69, and we got this double top, and it's like kind of ascending, but when you factor in inflation, it's actually a double top, and Bitcoin's going to crash, and oh no! Two things wrong with that. Number one, you have no evidence that that's going to happen. Actually, three things wrong with that. Number one, you have no evidence that's going to happen. Number two, this is a fundamentally different market. There is an enormous amount of there's significantly more inflows going into the Bitcoin market right now from institutions. Remember, the ones leading the market, driving the market, significantly more inflows going into the market right now than there were at 69K in the last bull market. In the last bull market, I've been making content almost every single day. Probably 92 to 93% of every single day that has passed in the last 7 years, I've uploaded to this channel. Not every day, but it's probably less than 1 in 13 days if I missed a piece of content, if you average it all out. I remember 69K like it was yesterday. It was boring. Do you remember that? Drop a 1 in chat if you remember the fact that it was boring at 69K. The only people talking about it were the influencers. It was me. It was, all your favorite influencers were talking about Bitcoin. The institutions were not. El Salvador had begun their Bitcoin strategy, but Tesla had kind of tapered off. They weren't really interested anymore. Strategy was doing their thing. That's great, but strategy at that point in time was not big enough to move the entire market. It was boring. It's not boring right now. It's boring to the retail, but when you look at the institutions, it's not boring at all. GameStop just announced that they're raising another $1.75 billion to use for their official investment strategy. What's their official investment strategy? Well, it includes Bitcoin. You talk about the subtext here. They're buying Bitcoin. Their NAV on their cash holdings is about to be upside down. Their market cap is now $10 billion. They sit on $8 billion cash, $1.5 billion of debt. They've got $6.5 billion of cash if you remove the debt, and then they got $500 million of Bitcoin. They got $7 billion in cash and cash equivalents and investments. And their market cap's $10 billion. It makes no sense. You have so much money flowing into Bitcoin that has not realized a return yet. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to happen. So number one, you can think like the retail that's thinking like that. Or number two, you can think like the institutions who realize what's about to happen, which is that we're about to go freaking crazy, and so we need to load up as much Bitcoin as we possibly can. I'm going out on a limb here, obviously, saying, hey, we need to load up as much as we can. I could be wrong. Guys, Bitcoin could drop into a bear market tomorrow. I don't think it's going to. All of the evidence points towards it continuing higher. But I can only go by what I have. I don't have a time machine. If I had a hot tub time machine or I had a DeLorean, man, I would go back and I'd buy up 1 million Bitcoin. I'd be Satoshi. Am I Satoshi? No, I'm not Satoshi. If I had a time machine and I could perfectly tell you what's going to happen in the future, if anybody could, they'd go back in time and buy Bitcoin. We don't know for an absolute fact what's going to happen. All we can go by is the evidence, and all of the evidence, or I'd say at least 90% of the evidence, points towards a massive rally. The best thing that we can do is follow the evidence. The evidence is the retail gets burnt every time. They've been selling this year. Institutions have been buying this year. The institutions are the ones making money, as usual. So instead of thinking like the retail, we can think like the institutions. What are the institutions doing right now? They're buying Bitcoin as fast as they possibly can because they understand that the future is here and the future is orange. Orange man in the White House, orange coin in your reserve. Come on, guys. The future is orange. It's very obvious. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this. We've talked about the 3 reasons. We talked about the 3 reasons this correction is happening. Number 1, market manipulation. Number 2, in no particular order. Number 2, short-term people that are long taking profits. Number 3, long-term people that are long taking profits. This is not, in my opinion, as a result of any bearish fundamentals or technicals. I can find virtually no significant bearish fundamentals or technicals. I don't like that Connecticut just banned, the acquisition of Bitcoin for their state legislature. I don't know, not for individuals, but for the government. I don't like the fact that GameStop dropped after they announced, a $1.75 billion to invest. I don't like those things, but those are minor points against the overall tapestry of bullishness. What we are seeing right now is an overall story of long-term and short-term bullishness. So let's let the charts speak for themselves. I kind of like to come at this from 3 angles: philosophical, fundamental, and technical. We've talked about the philosophical. Why is there selling going on? We've talked about the fundamentals. No, the future is very bright. You kind of see the structure that we have going on here. Number 3, let's talk technicals. The beautiful thing about this correction? This head and shoulders pattern was uggo. That's the term we'd use in high school. It's ugly. It was freaking ugly. Like, it was really, really ugly. This one, on the other hand, looks a lot better. Did you see that? Did you see what I just did there? The head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders pattern that we were looking at wasn't very clean. This one is textbook inverse head and shoulders pattern. And because it's larger, it has a larger price target. The price target here points to exactly where we've been saying we're going, which is $125,000. I have been saying for some time that we're going to go to $120,000 to $125,000 next month. In fact, I believe it so much that I pinned it to my Twitter. The next major leg up is around the corner for Bitcoin. 120K, possibly 125K, will happen by my 8th anniversary of being in Bitcoin, July 31st, 2025. That is our running prediction right now. And I fully expect that to happen. Now, let's keep it moving here. This inverse head and shoulders pattern is very important, and it's also very valid. Something I like about this inverse head and shoulders pattern is that it actually comes with a gift. It comes with a gift. Depending on the time frame, it also comes with divergence. Let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and remove our signals here. How do I do that? I think that they changed RSI. I got to remove the labels. How do I remove the labels? Oh my goodness. I feel like a boomer sometimes. I've been using RSI for years and years and years, and then they go and change something on me. You know, that's me. Anyway, whatever. You'll be able to see it anyway. You can see right down here that there is a little bit of a divergence. Not exactly, not quite, but it's about flat. It's more so like hidden divergence. You can see it right here. Basically flat. It's not a perfect divergence, but it's close. We have a downtrend on the levels of support here. We have a flat level here on the 4-hourly chart on the RSI. On the higher time frames, it kind of disappears. It's not a perfect divergence. It's not a perfect divergence, but it's kind of there. It's something to look for. So you got a little bit of a divergence here. And you also have the fact that you have the fact that we rallied even harder than we dropped. You can see that we dropped at about, if we were to draw kind of just a line of best fit here through the correction and through the uptrend, you can tell just basic trend line analysis. This is about the inclination that Bitcoin dropped at. Use our baseline here. You can see the differences in the angles. We have a let's see, it's been a while since I've used it, but I'm pretty sure there is a trend angle right here. There we go. Let's see if that will print. What does that say? Oh, other way. Not right there. Do the trend angle right there. So this is about a 53 degree angle, right? 55 degree angle, 56 degree angle. Let's see if I can turn this around. I think I can. Can I turn this around? I don't know. I'm not sure it's going to let me. I can do it like this, and then we can subtract it. Right here, we're looking at a 153. 180 minus 153 is 37, so we're looking at a 37 degree angle over here. So we got a 37 degree angle over here. We got a 56 degree angle over here. That gives you roughly a right angle, which is 90 degrees here, which indicates that we kind of were coming in, bounced harder than we dropped. That's what you're seeing with this correction here. You corrected, and we bounced harder than we dropped. That means that generally is going to speak to the bulls. That's generally going to speak to the bulls being stronger than the bears, which is very exciting. Now, another piece of analysis that I want to bring you comes from none other than Lux Algo. If you guys have not signed up for Lux Algo, you absolutely should. Check this out. Buy signal on 4-hourly chart came in. Trend catcher jumps up. Where's our support? Right there on the trend catcher. Ha! God, I love Lux Algo. Incredible technical indicator. Called this entire rally, and then our drop point drops right back down to the trend catcher. It's called the trend catcher for a reason. I mean, come on, it's called the trend catcher. We used it as resistance here, support there. It was the baseline right there, etc. It's a great indicator, and it also means that we are still in a confirmed uptrend. We have not confirmed a downtrend, which is very exciting. If you look out to the daily chart, same deal. You're looking here at a buy signal that came in on the 9th of June. Trend catcher is green, which means a confirmed buy signal. That indicates that we're going to rally 20, 30, 40, 50% at least, at minimum. And then we're also here looking at Bitcoin dropping back down to, you guessed it, the trend catcher. Where does Bitcoin typically drop down to during the rally? The trend catcher. It's called the trend catcher. Why do you think it's called the trend catcher? Because it catches the trend, right? We use it as resistance right here, right here, right here. Boom. When you start breaking through the trend catcher is when the trend changes. If we're bouncing off of it, that's fine. If we start breaking through it, like we drop down to 104, 103, 102, then that's where we would start to say, I don't know, that kind of invalidates the inverse head and shoulders pattern. Maybe we're not going to rally up to 125 like we think. But if Bitcoin holds 106.5, 106.5, the sky, right? If it holds there, if it manages to hold that specific radio station, then Bitcoin will have built an inverse head and shoulders pattern. If it doesn't, I will become significantly more bearish. We're at a decision point, an inflection point. I've talked about decision points a lot on the channel, and Bitcoin is at one right now. Rally, have an inverse head and shoulders pattern under your wings that will send Bitcoin flying above all-time high. Drop below 106. Drop below 105. 105 is kind of the extreme level we could go to at most. We cannot go much farther than 104.5 or 105. These price targets really sound like radio. But if we hold here, this is extremely good. So this is really the two options here. Bitcoin and what it means. Either we bounce here and we complete the right shoulder and Bitcoin flies, or we drop. Now, let's go back to the philosophical argument, the three reasons why Bitcoin dropped. Either one, it dropped because of manipulation. Two, it dropped because of long-term pressure. Two, it dropped because of short-term sell pressure. Three, it dropped because of long-term pressure. If manipulation has anything to do with it, the institutions see that their time is running out to hold the beach ball under the market, or else the market's going to take their power from them. What do I mean? Well, the institutions have the most leverage when the market is ranging sideways. Why? Because in indecision begs for leadership. When there's nothing going on, any group of human beings becomes desperate for leadership. When the market is trading sideways is the easiest time to manipulate the market. If Bitcoin breaks bearish here and invalidates this inverse head and shoulders pattern, then that almost guarantees 6 more weeks of corrective movement. Not necessarily bear market, but corrective movement, maybe down to 95, 92. The institutions, if they want to launch the market in the next month or two, they've got this chance right now to buy the dip on the market, on the spot market where they actually influence the price and turn the thing around. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to send Bitcoin above 100K for months, and I don't know that they want to do that. These institutions have spent months and months and months and months and months acquiring here, especially the big ones. I think they're ready to reward, to cash in and reward the people that hold their exchange-traded products, right? We're talking about Fidelity and BlackRock here, for example. I think they're ready to cash in. I think everybody is. I think everybody's ready for us to rally above 110. I've loaded up a bunch of bags. I'm loading up more while we're down here. But if you're going to manipulate the market to go into a rally anytime soon, you need to do it like today. Like today, tomorrow, next day. Not necessarily break all-time high today, tomorrow, or the next day, but you need to hold this level of support to influence the narrative enough to influence people to buy so that the market breaks out. Otherwise, you end up blowing your chance and you've got to wait for another market formation months from now. Ergo, Bitcoin breaks 110 in the next 2 weeks or it doesn't for the next 4 months. That's your overall takeaway today. Either Bitcoin breaks 100K in, let's say, by the end of June. Either Bitcoin breaks all-time high by the end of June or it's probably not going to happen until September or October. Now, that would not be bad if Bitcoin didn't break if Bitcoin didn't break Bitcoin. If Bitcoin didn't break all-time high until September, October, that basically guarantees that we're now going into super cycle, unless we just drop into bear market here. But that wouldn't make sense because we've still got, it just doesn't make sense from the fundamental standpoint, from the technical standpoint. What we do see, however, is that if the Bitcoin market breaks all-time high right now, you're probably going to start going into the parabolic blow-off top phase of the market, which means Bitcoin's going to shoot up to 125, 150, 175. And that's very exciting. So here's my deal. There is a chance that Bitcoin drops back down to 100. There's a chance it drops into the 90s. You could reject here. Could happen. Could happen. Don't crucify me. It could happen. I don't think it's going to, but it could happen. So you have a choice. If my analysis is correct, and Bitcoin is either going to break 110 by the end of this month, or it's not going to for months, and you'll get a bigger correction, maybe down to the gap, as Paul C. just said over on YouTube, then you could hold, and you could try and buy the dip. Or you could buy now and buy then too. The beautiful thing about working in markets, the beautiful thing about taking leadership in anything, is it forces you to ask philosophical questions every single day. If my son and my daughter are both crying, I have to ask myself, which one do I go to? If my wife and my son need something, I have to ask myself, which one do I go to? If my business and my family need something, I have to ask myself, which one do I have to go to? It forces you to ask the philosophical questions of how do I order my priorities, because I can't be everywhere at once. You can't invest in Bitcoin. You can't dump all your money into Bitcoin right now and dump all your money into Bitcoin in a hypothetical drop down to 92 a couple of months from now. So you have to ask yourself, do you believe in buying as early as possible, or do you believe in chasing dips? That's what you have to ask yourself. I, for the most part, believe in buying as early as possible because I don't like shorting Bitcoin. It's a question between, do I buy as early as possible or try to buy as low as possible? Which, if you think about it, is actually the exact same question as, do I prefer longing Bitcoin or do I prefer shorting Bitcoin? Where'd that come from? I'm not sure where that came from. I have no idea where that little thumbs up emoji just came from, but cool. There we go. Do you believe in longing Bitcoin or do you believe in shorting Bitcoin? That is the ultimate question. If you're saying I'm going to buy back in lower later, what you are saying is I am not going to deploy my capital now. I'm going to deploy my capital later. I'm shorting Bitcoin. If you say I'm going to buy now in anticipation of an increased future price action, then you are buying Bitcoin. Then you are longing Bitcoin. I have found that over the course of 1,000 trades, over the course of 1,000 investments, the individual decisions don't matter. One little decision doesn't make a difference. Unless it does, unless you just completely wreck yourself with one decision. But generally, small to medium impact decisions don't make a difference over the long run. Whether you eat fish or hamburger for dinner does not make a difference. What does make a difference is the overall investment philosophy, because that will not inform one decision, it will inform thousands of decisions. It doesn't matter that you drink Mountain Dew today, which is terrible for you. It matters that you drink Mountain Dew 3 times a day every day for 10 years. It doesn't matter that you went to the gym one time. It matters that you go to the gym 5 days a week, every single day, every single week for 10 years. It doesn't matter that you waited this time to buy the dip that never came. It matters that you do that every single time. And so you're left with no Bitcoin and dollars that are debasing at the fastest rate in history. So, if you are looking at this chart and you say, oh, Jeb, it's only, Jeb, it can go up or down. It's way more complicated than that, and you don't see it. Bitcoin either goes into a rally here, or it does this number, and it takes until September or October to go into a bigger rally. You have the opportunity of betting on this happening or this happening. If you're going to invest in Bitcoin, you have to pick one. Do you believe in this narrative or do you believe in that narrative? But you got to pick. In my experience, this can happen. But I don't like shorting Bitcoin unless I have bull market top indicators flashing, and none of them are. Sorry. And none of them are. You can bet on this narrative or you can bet on that narrative. You can bet on this or you can bet on that, right? Which one are you going to bet on? I have found it is not a good idea to bet against Bitcoin. So could Bitcoin crash here? Could that make our entries up here at 107 not great entries? It could. But I don't think that's the best bet. When we were at the Palazzo, we stayed at the Palazzo, $500 a night room. We stayed at it was a beautiful hotel at the Venetian back at the conference a couple weeks ago. You walk down, there's a casino down there. People are gambling with $15,000, $50,000, $100,000. Card counters only need to win 51 to 52% of the times to make millions of dollars and get kicked out of the casino. It is not about the specific trade. It is not about the specific entry. It is about your long-term philosophy that guides those decisions. People ask me a question sometimes. They say, Jeb, what you can do this or you can do that. And I just say, I'm going to do that. And they say, well, wait a minute, you didn't even think about it. You didn't even consider me. How many times have I heard that one? Well, you didn't even consider my question. You're right, I didn't. Because I don't need to. Because I decided what's in here a long time ago. Now, sometimes I just need to stop and think because it's not as obvious. Maybe I just need to slow down. But if somebody says, hey, do you want to go rob a bank or not? No, I'm good. Well, you didn't even think about it. Well, that's because I've decided a long time ago I'm not a thief. Hey, Jeb, will you lie for me? Nope. Well, you didn't even think about it. Well, because I decided a long time ago I'm not a liar. Jeb, are you going to buy right now or are you going to wait for a dip? I'm going to buy right now. Well, you didn't even think about it. Because I decided a long time ago I don't give a crap what my entry is, because going to $1 million, if it goes to I can buy at 108 or I could buy at 92. I'm going to buy at 108. And I did. Bought every day for the last months. Could it go to 92? Sure. You know what I'll do? I'll buy more. Because you could buy at 92 or you could buy at 85. I'll buy at 92. I'm good. Because if you look at the big players, generally what they're doing is they're just buying as much as they can as early as they possibly can. Because getting an entry is more important than getting the perfect entry or potentially not getting an entry at all. You can't just think, oh, well, if it goes down to 92, then it only has to go to 920,000 for me to 10x. But if I buy it at 108, then it has to go to 1.08 million for me to 20x. That's a $180,000 difference. Yeah, that's a big deal. They're not thinking like that. They're thinking there's a chance that I don't get an entry at all, and I have to buy at 135 because I tried to get in at 92. I don't short Bitcoin. Do you? Do you? For all the people, let me make an extreme example here. How many of you guys thought to yourselves, it's gonna go down to 8? I remember. I'm not gonna say who because I have a world of respect for my colleagues, but I'm not gonna say who. But I remember somebody down here saying it's gonna go down to $3,000 to $5,000. I'm not buying until it goes to $3,000 to $5,000. They missed out on the greatest entry that Bitcoin has shown in the last 7 years. We have not seen a better entry in years. They missed out on a $15,000 entry. That will be a 100x by 2040. You don't understand the opportunity that was missed out on there. If Bitcoin, I want to make myself crystal clear, and then we're going to start wrapping this out. If Bitcoin goes into a bear market today it goes into a bear market that bottoms out at 40K. If Bitcoin goes into a bear market today that bottoms out at 40K and you bought today at $107,600 in a financially responsible way, you're not putting your family's well-being and lifestyle in risk. You're not taking out a ton of debt. You're being financially responsible with how you buy. And we go into a bear market right now down to $40,000. If you hold that Bitcoin for 10 to 15 years, which is what I highly recommend every single one of you to do, it will still be one of the greatest entries that you will ever make in your entire life. Because in 10 to 15 years, Bitcoin will be trading between $1 and $10 million a coin, and you will have between 10 and 100x your investment, even though in the short term, you're going to get mocked and laughed at because you bought at the very cycle top. I don't think we're at the cycle top. But you know what? I'll be buying a little bit up at 175K, knowing dang well I'm going to get a better entry in the bear market. But I'm going to do it anyway because I could be wrong. I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to buy the dip if the bear market comes. I'm going to stop trying to time the frickin' markets, and I'm going to understand that time in the markets does truly beat timing the markets. Some of you guys are trying to get rich quick, and the Bible says wealth gained by vanity, another word for basically foolishness and meaningless decisions, will soon be diminished. In general, if you try to build wealth in a foolish way, you will lose it. Other translations of the Bible say that wealth gained by get-rich-quick schemes. The New Living Translation, which is more of a paraphrase rather than a translation. It's a paraphrase-lation, whatever you want to call it, not an actual direct translation. Paraphrases that verse, which is capturing the original meaning, which is helpful. Wealth gained by get-rich-quick schemes will soon be diminished. You have to take the appropriate amount of risk. You can't take no risk. You can't I think that's proper grammar. You can't take zero risk and leave your money in cash and make money. Not going to happen. But you also can't take too much risk. You have to understand that as an investor, your job is to be a risk manager. If you say, I'm going to buy in the future, I'm not going to buy right now, you are taking a great risk that you will not buy at all. In other words, you are taking a risk because you're not taking enough risk. These are things you have to think about if you want to build wealth. The simplest way to do this is to pick a number that you can afford. If you don't want to think about it, I do this every single day, so I actively manage it a lot more than I would recommend most people to do. But if you don't want to think about this, I know a guy, he's probably watching right now. He invests a certain amount every single day. He's been doing it for over a year, just hit a big goal. Really proud of him. If you don't want to think about it, you got a job, you got a family, you got all this stuff going on, and you just don't want to think about it. Here's what I want you to think about. Say, I'm going to invest $50 a day. I'm going to invest $100 a day. I'm going to invest $20 a day. Set it, forget it, come back in 10 years, be rich. I mean, when you have an asset like Bitcoin that is so massively undervalued compared to its future value, then it's that simple. It's that simple. Buy a lump sum, dump a bunch of cash into it to get started, and then DCA from there. After you dumped your lump sum of cash in, just DCA from there. But the most important thing that I can encourage you to do is get Bitcoin and make zero judgments about how that investment is doing for 5 years. Don't say, man, this was a bad investment. I'm down 60%. Well, you just bought it at the top of the bull market. That's fine. Buy more. Stand with conviction. No large company was ever built without conviction. Elon Musk has conviction that we need to become a multiplanetary species. Agree with him, disagree with him, doesn't matter. That conviction got him where he is with SpaceX. Donald Trump had conviction. We got to drain the swamp. Agree with him, disagree with him, doesn't matter. What matters is that conviction got him where he is. Steve Jobs, conviction. People need consumer electronics, and they need them to work well, they need to be easy, and they need to be powerful. Conviction. Name a company, and I will tell you of a founder that had conviction. Name me a rich person, and I will name you somebody who's not a general, not a handyman, but that has ridiculous conviction over one thing. Grant Cardone, like him, hate him, don't care. Conviction about real estate. Gary Vaynerchuk, like him, hate him, don't care. Conviction about social media marketing. Patrick Bet-David, like him, hate him. Conviction about insurance. Joe Rogan, like him, hate him. Conviction about the importance of ideas. Conviction. You have to decide whether you are convicted about the long-term possibility of Bitcoin or not. And if you are, your actions will reflect it. If you're not, I love you. I've got other content on other stuff, but that's mainly what we're here for. So I'll see you on the next video. What do you believe in? If you believe in it, we will see that you believe in it in your actions. Take appropriate risk, not too much, not too little, and go do something with your life. I want to let you guys know that there's a big sale going on right before we wrap it out. We're coming up on the 45-minute mark. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. Looks like we've got like 500 people watching from Twitter, so that's from X, so that's really exciting. If you guys haven't already, make sure to go sign up for the state-of-the-art tool, Lux Algo. We've been promoting Lux Algo for over 5 years now, and for a good reason. They are the best technical indicator on the market. For 6 days, and 6 days alone, you can get 40% off all plans with Lux Algo. There's over 200,000 people using Lux Algo for a dang good reason. They have all of the best indicators, hundreds of indicators. They make the best indicators. They've also got something here that cannot be ignored. That would be the AI backtesting platform. This is extremely important because it allows you to backtest any of the Lux Algo indicators on any chart, which means you can get these indicators set up perfectly to your liking so that you can begin trading with as strong of a force multiplier as possible. Good indicators allow you to get good entries, which allows you to make great profits, which allows you to build a great portfolio in the long run. And that is worth $36 a month. For those of you guys that are serious about trading and don't have Lux Algo, I ask you whether you are actually serious or not, because having the best tool is important. If you are a mechanic, you need the best tools. Have you ever seen a mechanic shop? Dude, they've got like $50,000 worth of tools in there. I know some amateur mechanics. Half of their net worth is in tools. Name me a roofer who doesn't have their favorite framing hammer. Name me a hospital that doesn't have the best tools. Sonograms, CAT scans, MRIs, X-rays, etc. You've got to have the right tools in your toolkit if you want to be a successful professional. If you're an investor or a trader in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, Lux Algo is the single best tool that you will get your hands on, and you can get your hands on it for $40 off right now. If you're a trader, you can probably honestly write the subscription off on taxes too. It's worth every single penny. The AI backtesting platform is incredible, and they've also got a Discord server with over 200,000 people in it. Wow. There's tens of thousands of people online at any given time in the Lux Algo Discord server. You can be one of them. Get access to the signals, get access to the indicators, get access to the Discord server, and get access to all of it for 40% off right now by going to the link in the description box. down below. I will be posting that affiliate link over on our Twitter as soon as I get off as well. So make sure if you've not already signed up for Lux Algo that you do right now. We're going to read chat for just a second, then we're going to wrap it out. We're coming up on time. It's 45 minutes. Really appreciate all of you guys for being here. DCA over several years results in much more Bitcoin than you could have previously imagined. That's right. I'm going to be buying Bitcoin in Solana. There you go. Haters want to be Jeb. I don't know. I do have a pretty cool life. I've been extremely blessed. God's been very good to me. BTC for the grandkids. That's the idea. Hashtag FinSov. Hashtag HODL on. That's right. Financial sovereignty or nothing. Really appreciate all you guys tuning in. Dang, bro, this is some Einstein stuff. Yeah, we've got some pretty good content here. I'm not trying to brag, but we do pretty good. We make some good content. The Lord has blessed me with patience. Good. That's important. All right. All right. Appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. Hey, we're going to wrap it out. If you enjoyed the stream, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, stay tuned for more content. Follow us on X at CryptoJeb. Follow us on YouTube at CryptoJeb. And before I go, I love you guys. I love you so much. I want to see you succeed. That's why we do everything we do. Follow the Lord Jesus Christ. Give your life to him. Buy some Bitcoin. Almost sounds offensive to Jesus to put those two things next to each other. That's why I said Jesus first. But do those two things. You will not be sorry you did. If you enjoyed today's video, like button, subscribe to the channel. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.